Give me. I'll give you a five count. Okay.
Do you like the normal low?
So busy today. Yep, we're ready to go.
All right, we are here. What's up, Boo? How are you?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. This is a special edition. Hold on, we got to put this out on the app here. I'm gonna text Josh to put it on the stream. But thanks for doing this. Your TikTok friends are all on here, man. I'm sure they're very, very excited to see you.
I hope so. Yeah, I put that out there. I didn't know what kind of response we were going to get, but I got people ready to quit their day job.
Hey, man, 100 Doge is the real deal. We're not messing around. 100 Doge can become anything. It can turn into thousands of acres of very fertile farmland. I know, right?
Yeah, it could turn into anything.
You're right. It can turn into a thing to ticket to Mars, to Venus. I mean, who knows?
I mean, think about it. Was it like 7-8 years ago? If you had 50 or 100 coins of Bitcoin, I mean, you'd be sitting pretty right now. What's Bitcoin trading at right now? Like 50,000 a coin?
Oh man, I sold so many at $200 and $100.
Did you really?
Oh yeah, I was into it in 2013. I knew every one of the main guys, and it's kind of funny. But I mean, I at that time I knew it was going to be big, but I just didn't. I don't speculate on things like that. But it's obviously who knows where this thing's going, right?
Yeah, it's going to the moon for sure. It's going to the Saturn at this point.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to, right? I mean, I think there's probably going to be something better along the way, but hey, if anything's anywhere close to what Bitcoin's at, then you're very successful. I was disappointed in myself that I didn't buy any of the Dogecoin back when it was like 0.8 of a cent. I just thought it was kind of silly to jump into it, but here I am sitting on the sidelines again.
Yeah, when was that? When was it at 0.8 of a?
Oh, man, it was like right around the time that Bitcoin blew up, right past Thanksgiving, was like 3 or 4 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. I remember, and I just remember it was all the craze back then, and so I started looking at all these other alternate coins, and Dogecoin was kind of like just a meme, and then all of a sudden now the meme has turned into reality.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of the self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, it's like, and you got things like Cardano, you got, Bitcoin, obviously, you got Ethereum is almost worth $350 billion. I mean, you got a $2.2 trillion asset class, which is just insane. But I'm sure your guys, your fans are here to talk both basketball and Doge and everything else. And hold on, I just want to make sure that it gets on the app. I just want to make sure your guys really understand how to play this game.
Yeah, we're on that.
They were on the app? All right, cool.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at it right now.
So this is a new format here. Jared, you've been with us since day one, and I appreciate you tweeting this or sending it out to your TikTok followers. And this is a special thing because you haven't done that on Twitter yet. So this is kind of a premiere for us on TikTok, and certainly a premiere for you to premiere ScoreTrade on TikTok. And we got a special fantasy game today. It's daily fantasy with a twist, which is you can trade these props during the game, and they go from 0 to 100. 100 if the guy hits the target, 0 if they don't. And you know this better than anybody, Jared, but we got basically the biggest stars in the NBA that are playing here. And whoever wins the top prize today, if they want to, they don't have to. I mean, they can save them up and accumulate these things. Who knows what the next daily drop's going to be? Right. But today, if they wanted to redeem them right on the spot, those 10,000 first place tokens, they can get themselves 100 Doge.
Yeah, and that's exciting, man, because like we were talking about earlier, 100 Doge could be, it could turn into like literally thousands and thousands of dollars if you hold on to it. But, if you don't want that, you're right. There's other prizes in the little prize vault. 50,000 ScoreTrade tokens get you a copy of Madden, get you also a copy of or a year subscription of ESPN Plus.
Right.
And who knows what we're going to offer tomorrow and the next day and the next day after that. So ScoreTrade is exactly where it's at for all the fun prizes.
Well, you know what? Today, it was either going to be 100 Doge, or the other thing I was thinking about offering was today you can go use a Jack in the Box app. Mm-hmm. All right, Jack in the Box app, and for $6 you can get 30 tacos.
Okay.
I mean, it's a pretty good deal. You're talking 20 cents a taco.
Okay.
All right.
So 30 tacos.
30 tacos. But these guys, I mean, a lot of guys are going to go on to ScoreTrade. A lot of sponsors are going to come in. They're going to want to offer. They're going to want to offer up these prizes. And that's the thing, that they're going to reach out to this audience, offer up these prizes, and hopefully these guys, learn to play the game. And tell them about the game here, Jared. I mean, you know these props here, and I'll walk you through a few of them and ask you what you think about it, because you know better than anybody how some of these guys are doing. But go ahead.
So we have pretty much like an all-star from every team out here on ScoreTrade today. So for instance, we have Jason Tatum. We'll start with him. His over/under is set at 26. So if you think he's going to go over that total, you could go ahead and buy some shares of Jason Tatum to go over 26. Now, as the game goes along, let's say Jason Tatum is not having a very good first quarter, then all of a sudden that price of shares is going to drop. So you have to make a decision. Do you want to sell or buy more shares of Jason Tatum? And what will happen here, let's say towards the end of the game, you are invested in Jason Tatum, and he does go over the 26 points. Then all of a sudden, whatever you buy your shares of Jason Tatum for will go to 100, and that will go into your portfolio. Everybody starts off with 500 ScoreTrade dollars, right? And then you sit there and you can invest across the whole market here of all these different players. So for instance, say you had Jason Tatum at 55 cents, and then let's say in the first quarter he goes off, right? So let's say you buy 100 shares of Jason Tatum and he goes off for maybe 12 points. All of a sudden his price is going to skyrocket. So then you're like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take that value out, and I'm going to sell Jason Tatum at maybe 80 cents. So now you've already accumulated some value, and you can turn around and maybe reinvest it in another player. Now, whoever has the most or the biggest portfolio at the end of all of this will win the prize.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll tell you, I mean, one of the best strategies would be to bet on some of the early games, because remember, the games are different too. So you want to, obviously, somebody that's starting at the later game, their price is not going to fluctuate because they're not accumulating any points. They're not playing. Right. So if you are going to speculate, you should speculate on games that have already started or about to start. Fat guys that start out fast, that's also another strategy you can take on, and then, cash it in. And you really don't want to have your money locked in into players that aren't going to play. But you can always buy or sell anytime. So that's the other beauty of ScoreTrade. You're not locked into a selection. And the other thing is, it's a lot like, well, it's not a lot like it, but it's like FanDuel and DraftKings. You start with $50,000 and you allocate that $50,000 among a portfolio of players, right? And they accumulate fantasy points. Right. Well, on ScoreTrade, instead of $50,000, you get $500, and those $500 you're allocating it among these players. But instead of them accumulating fantasy points, they already have a fantasy target. So it's like, if it's like A plus B equals C, for us it's C minus B equals A. Same thing. So that's the general twist that we have on it. But the beauty of our format is you get to play it throughout the game. And you know what? I got to be honest with you, Coach. I'm glad you got the TikTok guys on here, because they're a lot younger and a lot more seasoned and a lot more adept at playing this game. We get some of these 30-somethings on Twitter, 40-somethings on Facebook, 50-somethings from LinkedIn, and 60-somethings from the morgue. They don't know how to play this game. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. So, the younger guys that already have an idea, have already been trading like cryptocurrency, already understands how the stock market works, how there's value. And, you guys have already been playing fantasy basketball, you guys have been live betting on offshore sites, or even on, like United States sites, so you guys already kind of have an advantage here. You already understand how things work. So it's going to be huge for you guys to come in here and definitely be able to try to win some of these prizes. And like you were mentioning earlier, let's not even mess with the games that are starting later today. Like, for instance, Utah Jazz versus San Antonio Spurs. We can mess with that later. Don't invest your money in that right now. Right. Go after the Boston Celtics game, or even the Cleveland versus Portland game. That's where you want to focus your time on and work your way up through the course of the day.
Exactly. And then, I think that the Celtics game is going to start here pretty soon. And these are great games. These are great players too. Jason Tatum, obviously, he's having a great season. I'm not so sure that the Celtics have the firepower in the East at all. You got CJ McCollum, you got Colin Sexton, you got Damian Lillard. He's obviously the real deal.
Oh yeah.
the real deal. Would you say he's the most clutch player in the NBA right now? Him, Steph, what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you got Dame Lillard in the last couple of seconds, you got to feel pretty good about your chances. I've seen
Yeah.
plenty of other players like John Morant just fold in the last couple of minutes or a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
So, it's nice. Anytime it's Dame time, you can sit back and enjoy the show. Yeah, so I do like Damian Lillard. I like CJ McCollum. The Cleveland Cavaliers have kind of packed it in for the season. They were a decent defense at one point, not so much anymore. And they're actually the worst. I don't know if you knew this, Boo, but they are the worst offense in the NBA right now.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I start following the players, and then right about this time, I start getting worked up for the NBA playoffs because I think it's a very, very exciting playoff time. I almost like the NBA playoffs as much as I like the NFL playoffs, and I'm a huge NFL fan. But the NFL regular season for me is obviously much better than the NBA regular season.
Mm-hmm.
But the NBA playoffs, it really does have that second season atmosphere to it, you know?
Oh, 100%. And,
Right.
the fact that it lasts like over a month is beautiful too. So we're definitely going to get the best team, at the end of all of this. And now that they have this play-in tournament, it's going to be even better. And that's kind of made this end of this regular season even more important because you have some teams that would have already tanked it or, started tanking or maybe even packed it in for the year. Now they're actually playing for a playoff spot.
Yeah, it makes it feel like the pennant races because otherwise it's a little too predictable, So and now it's the wild card. Anything can happen, right? And you got teams that are trying not to be on that bubble. They're not playing. It's almost like the NFL playoffs where the bye really means a big deal because you're getting rest, you're getting to sit it out. You get a little bit of pressure taken off of you, right? And so you get to sit and kind of wait. And even you talked about the Wizards last night, Westbrook, Beal. I mean, Westbrook, what he's doing this season. I mean, the triple double, somebody to be able to average a triple double. I don't think a lot of young people understand how crazy significant that is. As much as Steph kind of redefined the game, to watch what Russell Westbrook is doing. I mean, it's just pretty unbelievable.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, to average it, he's now averaged it for a number of times. New team to be able to do it. It's just unbelievable. So that'll be interesting to see. Milwaukee Bucks, you take them seriously?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, you would be a fool not to take them serious. Now, the one thing about the Milwaukee Bucks this year that's been different from previous years is the Milwaukee Bucks are not taking the regular season as serious as they have in previous years. Previous years, they wanted to win every single game. They wanted to, just completely, dominate. And then they run out of steam when they get to the playoffs. Well, now you can tell they've kind of pulled back a little bit. Now, Giannis has been hurt in and out of the lineup with that knee. I'm not even sure if he's going to play today. I was kind of expecting him to be ruled out today because it's the second game of a back-to-back, but it looks like he might be a full go. So, yeah, so it looks like we're going to get a full Bucks team here versus the Wizards. It's going to be a good game because the Wizards have been hot lately, Boo. I mean, so hot. Bradley Beal, when you don't even mention him because Westbrook has been doing so good, they're doing something good.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, isn't he the leading scorer in the league right now? Him or
yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean, can you imagine that? I mean, imagine I went through it and I didn't even mention Bradley Beal, so it's unbelievable.
That's insane.
But we got, this, and I like this format a lot too. I mean, just for your guys, we got a lot of your guys and a lot of new faces on here. So I just want to give them a quick shout out. Hooper 90-11, Graham K, TJ Farrell, Big Mar 21, Connor Novakowski, and Ibreeze 200. I don't know whether that's Ibreeze. I can only see the top 10, but I'm sure there are a lot more players playing. But thanks for coming on. And, it'd be great. I'm sure a lot of these guys would love to interact with you directly, Coach, and talk to you and ask you questions. So, maybe I'll just ask you some imaginary questions that I imagine is on a few of these guys' mind. How do you play this game and how do I get my Doge?
Yeah. So the Doge coins, I mean, look, the Doge is going to go to the top player in this tournament. So
if they want to redeem it,
up for grabs. I'm sorry, if you want to redeem it, that is correct. But hey, look, we'll get there. The most important part is just to win the tournament, and then we can decide what you want to do with with the prize. But guys, look, it's buy, sell, or trade. If you scroll through the app, you see all these all stars that are available, and what you do is you make sure you track these players' performances. So if you want to buy somebody like Jason Tatum or Giannis, if you like them to go over their point total that's allotted here on the app, then buy some shares. And then as they perform, and then let's say they perform in a really good fashion in the first half or so, maybe you want to sell it because their valuation will go up. So when you sell, you'll actually get more money into your portfolio that you can sprinkle on maybe Colin Sexton or CJ McCollum or even DeMar DeRozan for that matter. So, but if you stick with your player and they go all the way past the total, then whatever you buy your player for, it will turn into 100. So, and you'll get all your cash back so you can reinvest it back into the market. So buy, sell, and trade to make that money.
And the way these guys have to think about it is it's like win probability. You see win probability during NFL games, during NBA games as well. It's either going to be 0 or it's going to be some number between 0 and 100, right? And it's fluctuating as the team is getting better, marching down the field, taking a big lead. And that's exactly what this is. This is 0 to 100. So just imagine this as the equivalent of win probability for the player to hit his target. And you can use 0 to 100 for anything. So Julius Randle today to score 24. Well, if Julius Randle has 12 points in the first quarter, you pretty much know he's got 3 quarters to get 12. So he's going to have, that's going to be priced at maybe 85, 90%, because that's the probability that over 3 quarters, he's going to score that. Other things that affect it, so if the game is very, very tight in the fourth quarter, that the star is going to get a lot of touches and is going to shoot a lot. If the game is a blowout, and a guy's got 20 points, but they're winning by 40 and his target is 25, well, that probability might be 20, 25%. It might be that because he's not going to be playing the game. They don't need to. And especially down the stretch here, they're not necessarily going to, they want to make sure that they can load manage these guys to as limited a minutes as possible because they don't want to get anybody injured. They don't want to put anybody, give them wear and tear. And if they're meaningful games, and that's the other thing too, are these guys playing meaningful games? Do they already, if it's a number 1 or number 2 ranked team already, maybe they're not looking to push it, right? But if you have a team on the bubble, you got to take those kinds of things into consideration. Now, our algorithm is not smart enough yet to take those things into consideration, but it will. And if Josh is listening, we can, but that's the thing too, is that, what are teams playing for? What are the stakes? And by the way, speaking of Julius Randle, what do you think about this kid? And what do you think about the Knicks in general?
Well, I think the Knicks, they're one of my favorite teams to watch. With that defense, oh my goodness, they're doing it differently than any other team in the league. And I think that's the beautiful part about the Knicks here. They're the number 1 rated defense, the number 1 rated defending the 3 ball. And they're actually, with all that, they actually are the number 6 team in the country or in the association at knocking down the 3-point shot. So not only are they playing great D, but they're also shooting the 3 ball very well. And Julius Randle is the centerpiece of all of that. And he's got great players all around him, like Derrick Rose. That was a huge addition at the deadline there. And then also, Barrett, he's a great role player. Obi Toppin coming off the bench. This Knicks team is by far a dark horse in this Eastern Conference that no one's really talking about. And they're a lot of fun to watch. They will smother you on defense, and then they'll shoot 3-pointers with you too. So if they knocking down their threes, that's a hard team to beat right now.
What's funny about that is it's interesting to think that the Brooklyn Nets are this hated Darth Vader-like team, and the Knicks are like the underdog in New York. And I think there are going to be a lot of fans for the New York Knicks all over the country, and it's going to be one of the teams where it's an underdog team from New York that people are going to really get behind. It's going to have a lot of fans that, if your team necessarily isn't in the playoffs, like a lot of people in Houston, I'm sure are going to be rooting for the New York Knicks if the right. They're just exciting team, young players coming in, right? Maybe not. But.
I mean, the Rockets fans, I think they're just rooting for the season to be over. I think the Rockets fans are probably moved on to the Astros at this point. Yeah. But look, for true basketball fans, you have to appreciate the New York Knicks. And, my co-host, Jake Osmond, he is a huge Knicks fan, and I'm excited for him because he and the rest of New York has not had a lot to cheer for since Patrick Ewing was part of that organization. So very fun times there for New York and for Brooklyn because you have both teams in New York are going to make probably the top 6 here of the Eastern Conference. So it's going to be a lot of fun going forward.
Yeah, anytime the Knicks are in it, I mean, it's also good for ratings. It's good for getting that whole new audience in there. You think anybody can beat the Nets?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, I think where the Nets have an issue is in their front court. So they have DeAndre Jordan Blake Griffin, but that's about it. Like, who else is, if you have a team like the Sixers that can play defense, that can feed Joel Embiid, that could be an issue for the Nets, in my opinion. So, and also, I think the Bucks match up pretty well versus the Nets as well. Now, I know once James Harden comes back, it's going to spread the court even more. You're going to have a lot of finishers on that court. But, I still think they will have an issue with any big man down low, especially if they're not shooting the ball. It's similar to the Rockets. When they were not shooting well, they couldn't beat anybody. If you remember, they were playing Golden State, 2017?
Yeah, right.
They missed so many three-pointers, and, they couldn't win.
Yeah, right. No, and that always happens. And injuries too. I mean, anytime you get a guy injured, that also affects it. I mean, Chris Paul, the Rockets versus Golden State game 6, right? They were playing really well that series against Golden State, and Chris Paul gets injured, right? He was having a hell of a series. And so, anything can
Rockets
happen.
win the championship if he stays healthy.
Man, Houston people are always talking garbage.
I'm dead serious. Nobody's beaten Houston because they would have beaten Golden State, and then they would have swept the Cavs in 4, or maybe it would have gone to 5. Overall, it would have been easy money. But it didn't happen, and it's fun to debate it. But at the end of the day, I'll take my Astros championship and and do the woulda, coulda, shoulda.
They still have that? They haven't taken those things back?
Oh, no. We are the rightful champions. We're the rightful champions 2017. We cheated better than anyone else in the league, and we're going to take those rings.
I know, man. Well, the thing is, right? It's they were a dazzling team to watch at that time. But you know what, though? How can you see in baseball, there's been so much that's happened. You can't take things away. I'm a big believer in that, too. But what do you do? Is Bonds not the home run king? Is A-Rod not going to be allowed in the hall, right? It's a basketball show, but certainly. So listen, we're going to get Jake on here in a little bit and transition it over. And I'm sure there's some new guys that are playing this game. Has any of these games started yet? I think the Boston game's probably going to start here pretty soon. But
it actually started. I think it started 10 minutes ago.
Well, that was the game time, but I don't think that the actual pricing.
Okay.
I think that's supposed to be the start time. But so what happens during this game? And Jared and Coach can explain this a lot better. But these prices are going to fluctuate. So these prices change. So if it's 55, if Tatum gets hot all of a sudden and scores 4 points in the first 2 minutes, this price might be 80, and you would have made a lot of money. So if you bought, let's say, 100 shares at $55 and the price goes up to 85, you would have made a profit of $30, not 30 actual dollars, but 30 ScoreTrade dollars. And your objective is to take your $500 in trading capital and accumulate as much money as you can by trading in and out of positions. This is like DraftKings meets Robinhood meets Chuck E. Cheese is our thing, right? The trading model is Robinhood-esque. The fact that it's daily fantasy is DraftKings, and the fact that you can redeem your tokens for Doge or a game, Madden, and these prize pools are going to get bigger too. So it's going to be very exciting stuff. So I'm glad your guys are on, and would also love to hear from you guys. So if you want to email us, please do so. You can email me directly, boo@ScoreTrade, BHU@ScoreTrade.com, and would love to hear from you guys. And you can always let us know what you think about it. Let us know what you think about the product. We're always looking to improve it, looking to make it a very, very fun experience with real legitimate prizes, and make it as immersive as possible and coming up with all kinds of new game formats. So appreciate you guys being on with us.
Yeah, and don't forget, we also have a Twitter account. So if y'all want to reach out via Twitter, it's ScoreTrade app, @ScoreTrade app. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is right. It is. And we're, that's where you're going to see things about the prize drops. That's when you're going to see, our first prize drop ever was on Monday. And remember, this is a brand new thing. So where everything is in test mode and we're just trying things out. But throughout the NBA playoffs, we're going to have a prize drop every single day, all the way through the NBA finals. And the prize drop is not just for that day, but it's a prize drop that just tells you, hey, this is out there. It's behind the glass at Chuck E. Cheese. Accumulate these tokens and you can redeem them. And since we don't have that many players yet, we only put out one copy of Madden for 50,000 tokens. Yesterday was 1 year subscription to ESPN Plus. There's one of that available for 50,000 tokens. Today, it's 100 Doge available for just 10,000 tokens. So if you have 10,000 tokens, you want to redeem them, you get 100 Doge. We'll send it to your Coinbase account or wherever it is. So there's only one of it available. So there's going to be, and then over time, as more and more people get added to it, It might be, the 30 pack of Jack in the Box tacos for $6, but we might do that for 10,000 tokens. We might do a special. We can do all kinds of things, all kinds of cool things.
Yeah.
It could be Sonic's jerseys, it could be Fanatics hats. And those are also, we're open to suggestions on those as well. So we're just gonna have a lot of fun with it, play the game and have some fun.
Yeah, that's great. I'm so excited to be a part of this, Boo. And this thing's going to take off. It's going to go to the moon, just like the Dogecoin. Someone's going to win today. It's going to go to the moon, and it's going to be very successful. So definitely come on in here, start trading away. Jason Tatum's price is already down to 49 cents. Already 1 minute into this game, he has 0 points. It looks like Orlando is at the line shooting foul shots. So we are well on our way here to playing and having a fun day here on ScoreTrade.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's just good, clean, innocent fun. Now, look, there's this guy named Teabag289 that just joined. He's in 10th place. You can click on him, right? And he bought 50 shares of Julius Randle to score 24. He bought that for $26. He bought Trae Young to score 26, bought 100 shares of that. Devin Booker, he only bought 100 shares of all of them. So you can click on the guy's name on the leaderboard and see what's up. So let's say Hooper 90-11 here. He only bought one thing. He bought, because see, this kid knows how to play. So he bought just 1,020 shares of Russell Westbrook to score 22. He didn't diversify, none of that stuff. But he's got to know, Hooper, you got to know, you got to be active on this game. So you got to come back and if you can make a profit, you got to take profits on that, because you're going to need more than $1,000. The most you can make on that position is $1,020 because you got 1,020 shares. Right. So unless you do something else, I don't know whether $1,020 is going to be enough to clear it. We got to make sure Josh doesn't play, because he's back there. He's got the gerbils running around and doing that computer stuff. We got to make sure he doesn't do it. KH Watson, he's always a gamer, so we can't have him messing around either.
Yep. Here's a fake Christian Dodd at 10. Let's see what he's been trading into. So you just go in there and click his name, right?
Yep. See Christian Dodd. What's he got here? Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how some guys allocate, in different ways. Other guys, they just buy 100 of a bunch of these things, right? And here, Christian's got a strategy, and it's nice to see guys on day one have a strategy. Okay, so because this is, that's what we're really doing. We're FBI profiling these guys, giving away throws and really just, So we want to know how Christian thinks here. So he's got 100 shares of Jokic. He's got Bradley Beal, only 40 shares, so he is not too confident of that. And he's got 300 shares of Giannis. So that's exciting stuff. So, and Tatum, he's got 80 shares of that, and he's obviously going to mix it up. But exactly, now Tatum's already gone up to 57. You see that?
Yeah, he just had a steal and a dunk. So that as you can see, that went from like 49 cents to 57 cents just based on 2 points there. So, and then Tatum is just shooting a 3 right now and misses it. So, hey, there's Jake. What's up, man?
What's going on, Jared?
Sweating out some score trade here, watching the Orlando Magic versus the Boston Celtics matchup.
Hey, Jake, I'm also on the show today because we had an exciting development and we had to, interrupt our regularly scheduled programming and have to do a special edition of ScoreTrade today. And we had to do that because Jared invited a whole lot of people off of TikTok and they came on here right away and we're very enthusiastic. And what we're doing today is the drop of the day today was 10,000 tokens, which is also the first place prize is 10,000 tokens today. And you can take those 10,000 tokens and redeem them for 100 Doge coins. Okay?
Wow.
We only have one of it available, but it's 100 Doge, so whoever wants to go to the moon, go to Mars, buy Al Bundy's Dodge, whatever they want to do with the Doge, they can do it.
Yeah, potentially changing somebody's life today, Jake, because that's what we try to do here on ScoreTrade.
The Doge is all the rage. I don't know anything about it, guys, but I've seen it trending on social media, and the cryptocurrency world is huge from what I've been told.
Mm-hmm.
If you know how to spell Doge, you're 90% of the way there. But I mean, you two are the professionals, but I'm the founder here of ScoreTrade. And Jake, thank you for coming on, and thank you for being on with us the last couple of days. And this is still very much experimental, and we're obviously going to launch this big initiative for the NBA playoffs. But very exciting to have you on. Jake Asman is on SportsMap Radio Network, very, very knowledgeable. And along with Jared, who's an expert in ScoreTrade and certainly expert in making the big picks on some of these big games. And he's always a guy that you follow for advice on how to make some money in non-Doge and just dollar denominated world, making these big selections. But I wanted to leave it to you guys to kick the show off again, our normal show. And Jared, I mean, go through again how the game is played and for some of the new guys that are playing on here.
Sure, absolutely. So, all right, so everybody starts off with 500 score trade dollars that you can use inside this particular game, this particular tournament. You can allocate those dollars to your favorite player or whatever you want to do with those dollars. You can apply some to Jason Tatum, some to CJ McCollum. And the way it works, guys, is it's simple, guys. So right now we'll use Jason Tatum as an example. It says Jason Tatum, will he score 26 points? So you can, if you think that's going to happen, you can buy some of Jason Tatum stock currently at 57 cents per share. And you can, let's say you buy 100 of them, right? So you put you buy 100 shares of Jason Tatum, and then let's say that he goes, I don't know, crazy in the first quarter. Now, all of a sudden, his price will no longer be 57 cents. It will probably be closer to 84 cents. And then what you can do is you can sell that particular stock and accumulate some of that cash. And then you can turn around and reinvest that into another player. Now, let's say you have a player that actually goes over his points total, then whatever you invested in him will go to 100 per share. On the flip side, let's say he does not get there and it goes under the point total, then all of a sudden your shares go to zero. So whoever can accumulate the biggest portfolio at the end of this tournament wins the sweet, sweet prizes.
That's right. And Jake, by the way, on the leaderboard, in case your guys are there, and we got a new guy at number 4, Family Strokes. Love that. But Jay, Parasar, Coach, Boo, and Cage Watson, we're not eligible to win the tokens. Or maybe we can win the tokens, but whoever is in first in white is the one that's going to get the 10,000 tokens. All right. So I might have Coach just sell off his shares. I might have Cage Watson sell off his shares. And to make sure that our guys that just joined us have a good shot at winning this thing. But very exciting that a lot of these guys joined. Jake, what do you think about the NBA season so far? Who do you think is going to win this whole thing here?
Whole thing's tricky, but I still think if you get a healthy Lakers team, they still have to. Right? They still got to be looked at in my mind as the favorites until you beat the champs. To me, they're still the champs. And I just look at the Nets and the questions I have about them. I have questions about the Bucks. I have questions about the Sixers. So, if the Lakers could come out of the West, and I understand that's a big ask right now because they're not playing well and LeBron's not healthy. I still think when they need to, have that lightning switch go off, I think they could flip that switch. So we saw it last year in the bubble. I could see something similar. That being said, I'm really excited about the NBA playoffs, Boo, because I'll tell you, I can't remember a year where you could argue maybe as many seven teams have a legitimate chance to either go to the finals or win the whole thing. So I'm still going to lean Lakers. It's a chalk pick, sure. But at the end of the day, I am very excited because I can argue for a lot of different teams.
That is a very exciting thing. That is an exciting dynamic this season as opposed to previous seasons. I think that, you got a lot of teams that have been kind of, kind of the bridesmaids, but they haven't quite pushed it through. Giannis, you can make a case that he's going to be extremely hungry. He's got to prove himself. This is the time when he really needs to break out and establish himself as a legitimate star. I'm not a big fan of MVP, regular season MVPs being handed out until the finals are over. For me, Aaron Rodgers winning the MVP in the regular season, it's meaningless to me until they put it down. So it'd be interesting to see Giannis put it down. And, that's an interesting question for Coach because Lakers are plus 420 right now to win the title. And I think the Nets are I don't know, some guys have it at plus 180, plus 200, $100 to win, $200. And, 33% favorite basically on the Nets, whereas you got maybe a 20% favorite on the Lakers. So very interesting that Jake just took the Lakers. What do you think about that, Coach?
Well, I mean, Jake, I don't know, man. I just don't think the Lakers have it this year. Their age is catching up to them. Injuries has caught up to them. Yeah, they play good defense, but they can't stay on the court. And even if they did stay on the court, I just don't think they got it, man. I just don't. It doesn't feel like a Lakers kind of team this year, like the one we saw last year. It just seemed out of sorts, man. I think if out of the West, I'm probably leaning the Suns, maybe the Jazz if Mitchell comes back healthy. I mean, the Jazz was the hottest team to start this season. I know it's not how you start, it's how you finish, but like maybe the fact that Mitchell has been out, they're not trying to win every regular season game. When he does come back, they might, because they are a very well-rounded team, defensive wise, offensive wise, 3-point wise, everything, rebounding. They're probably the most complete team when Donovan Mitchell's there. As far as the East goes, I mean, I love the Knicks, but I don't know if this is the year for them. I do like the Nets, but I probably would lean the Sixers out of everybody because I think they have the most complete team on defense. And who's going to stop Joel Embiid when it comes down to it?
It's all fair. The thing I'll say about the Lakers, though, their injury problems. I mean, it's really just LeBron. If you give me a healthy LeBron and healthy AD, I'll figure out the rest if I'm the Lakers. Because you're mentioning the Suns, you're mentioning the Jazz. I got to see them prove it before I could pick them, and that's part of why I'm more interested in who comes out of the East. Because you can say the same thing about the three favorites that come out of the East, right? The Sixers haven't proved anything in the playoffs yet. Doc Rivers, his first go around coaching that team. We'll see if he's better than what Brett Brown did the past couple of years. Then you look at Milwaukee. I mean, the biggest question with Giannis is all right, do his numbers in the regular season, can they translate in a big playoff series? To this point, no. He's still young enough where he can still obviously change that perception. And the Nets, as talented as they are, and I've watched a lot of Nets basketball this year being from New York, the three guys they're counting on all don't play. And they've all played a total of 7 games together. So, for them to just come, and just turn it on when the playoffs start, all right, I could see it. They're that talented. They're rightfully the favorites to win the whole thing. But, man, Steve Nash leaves a lot to be desired as a head coach. And I'll tell you what, when you're the Nets and you're not going to maybe be the 1 seed, and in the second round you got to go through Philly or Milwaukee, is the winner of that series going to be so banged up, so beat up, that whoever is the 1 seed maybe has an easier path to get to the NBA Finals? And the longer a series goes with the Nets, there's more of a chance that Kyrie can pull a hamstring, Harden can pull another hamstring, KD can get hurt again. We've just seen it too many times with those 3 players this year that they just aren't capable of staying healthy. So there's legitimate question marks with each team coming out of the East.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Jared.
I think one thing we all agree on is these NBA players are very soft. It seems like this season. It seems like everybody is breaking down across the landscape.
Hey, man, but you know what? LeBron James is a freight train. And honestly, he doesn't take playoffs off. And he comes to play. And honestly, injuries, no injuries. I think I kind of get what Jake is saying, which is a guy that's been to 10 of the last 11 NBA finals. Maybe you just ought to assume that the guy's going to go to another NBA finals, considering he's gone to 10 of them. It's like the Brady situation. You don't root against the greats and bet on dudes that have not proven anything. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you always see these guys on paper. It's like Brady this year. He goes to Washington, wins. He goes to New Orleans, wins. He goes to Green Bay, wins, right? He beats Mahomes again in the playoffs, wins. And some of these guys like a LeBron, this is the 3rd team now that he's won rings with. What more does he have to prove to say, okay, this guy is the default best that we got in the game. And whatever team he's on, he's going to will them to win. He's going to deliver his 35 to 40. You're not buying it on, Coach, at all. But, can he still do it? I mean, 35 is up there for NBA. You're rolling your eyes, Coach. You don't like this at all.
You want to be the GOAT? LeBron, go to Orlando, win a championship. I'll call you the GOAT when that happens. Otherwise, I mean, you go on the Lakers, you go to Miami, whatever. Cleveland
and beating a 73-19. Jake, come on, you got to step up for this guy.
Yeah, I mean, look, the GOAT debate is tricky, right? Because it depends on what you want to argue. If you want to say, Michael Jordan's the greatest player of all time, all right, you could argue that. You could say his prime, his peak was better than anything we've seen. I could tell you, watching LeBron, to me, he's had the longest prime out of any athlete in the history of sports. Like, no one has done what he's done for as long as he's done it. So it depends on how you want to view it. If you want to argue LeBron's the GOAT, you could argue it. And the fact that LeBron's made it a conversation. He's in the discussion. To me, he's a testament to his greatness. And I'm no LeBron fan. He has me blocked on Twitter, believe me. So,
That's Jake. For what reason?
I called him out for being a fraudulent baseball fan after the Dodgers won the World Series, and he blocked me. So I believe me, I'm no LeBron fan by any means. I find him to be hypocritical on a lot of different issues. But at the end of the day, until someone beats him in the playoffs with the Lakers, if they're healthy, I'm still going to favor LeBron over a Suns team that's unproven. Utah's unproven. Obviously, the Clippers collapsed last year. What's changed with them? Like now Tyronn Lue's their coach. All of a sudden, they don't collapse now. So it's kind of like a wait and see with the other contending teams out of the West. Denver, I thought, had a great chance to get it done this year. I thought it was aligning perfectly for them, especially after they made the Aaron Gordon move. And then, unfortunately, no fault of their own, Jamal Murray blows out his knee, and he's done for the year. So, I think that hurts the Nuggets, obviously. So, a lot of question marks with all these teams. I still go back to LeBron just because we've seen it so many times, and you don't want to count a guy out. If he's healthy, he's still the best player on the planet.
Well, I'll throw this out to both of you guys. If Klay Thompson was healthy this year, and if he did not have another kind of a freak injury, and if he was at full strength, how good would the Golden State Warriors have been this year? What do you think about that?
They definitely would be in the conversation of potential, coming out of the West, I think. Especially with Wiseman on the court. I mean, I know he's hurt now, but, Wiseman, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Curry. They brought in Kelly Oubre. They also had Bazemore and Pascal. All those guys. That would have been a pretty good squad. I think that they would be definitely a contender for sure. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I agree with you there, Jared. I don't know just how good they would have been as far as like contending wise, just because we still have to see Klay come off this injury, what he looked like, coming off the knee, would he start slow? How would he look? I'm sure he'd get into, a rhythm and be really good by the end of it. So yeah, I just would want to see that. It's a bummer he's hurt though, man. Now you're talking about the guy that's really lost the last almost 3 seasons of his career, and it's just brutal. I mean, you're talking about if he's not the best shooter in the league, it's because his teammate Steph Curry is, right? I mean, that's how good Klay is. So it's been a bummer not having him. I think it's hurt the league. And certainly, the Warriors dynasty, it just ended right when Durant left, but it also ended because of all the injuries that has happened to the star players. So last year, Curry's out for most of the year. This year, Klay's gone for the entire year after he missed last year. It's been a bummer seeing what's happened to that team, because as much as I disliked Durant going there, when those guys were all playing at the same time, it was beautiful basketball to watch. It really was.
But you know what, though? I'm here, obviously, in the Bay Area, and I did not like Durant on here at all. I wasn't able to even root for the Golden State Warriors because I'd moved here from Connecticut in New York. And so for me, but my family's been here a long time, but I wasn't able to root for them at all, because it's like a guy gets beat by a 73-9 team up 3-1 because Oklahoma City was up 3-1 and joins the guys that beat you. I mean, where is your competitive spirit? So I don't give any credit to Durant for those 2 titles. In my view, he's titleless. You can't join a team that already went to the finals 73-9 and already had a ring on without you, and you can't go there and get a couple of NBA Finals MVPs and call it anything. And I do think that if they had Klay Thompson, I think they would have been the guys in the West to beat. And I think that because I think Klay Thompson brings a lot of great perimeter defense. Obviously, he's a great overlooked defensive player. Whereas Steph is a little bit of a liability, and I think it just opens Steph up to even do more. I mean, if Steph could have done what he did this year with Klay on the floor, I mean, just imagine that. You got 1-2, bang, bang. And so I think that whole, it would have been really nice to see. I think this was a big season lost of a great team. And you would have seen that old joy back too. That's one of the other things that, when they had Durant, it was very clinical. They were just a great ultimate superstar team. But before they had Durant, they were a joyful team. You could just see that infectious energy with just Curry just hitting from anywhere he wants to, pulling up from anywhere, being unreasonable, right?
They just had pressure to win when Durant went there. It was like, if they didn't win the championship, you're a failure. And I think that's a big reason why he left, honestly. I think he wanted to go somewhere where he could kind of still be the guy and have more fun. And with Curry being there, it was never going to be, his team. It's always going to be Steph's team when you play for the Warriors. So a big reason why Durant left, in my mind, was to go to Brooklyn and get his own team and get to do it, his way. And now same thing applies, though. If the Nets don't win a championship with those 3 guys, especially after in the middle of the season, you added James Harden, it's going to be a massive failure for the Nets.
Yeah, and they added Blake Griffin. I know they added Marcus Aldridge, and it just I mean, I know he's no longer playing, but like it's just they have no excuse. They literally have no excuse other than the injuries, and that's really what it boils down to here. I do think the Nets, fully healthy, are probably the best team out of the East. I think they'll have some issues with the 76ers. I don't think DeAndre Jordan's going to be able to handle Joel Embiid. So, but overall, I mean, yeah, we're going back to, the Golden State Warriors. I think that, that would be a very fun, team to watch, especially if Klay Thompson is still drinking that chocolate milk and doing what he can do, because, it just sucks that he got injured, man. It's just rough.
Well, the other thing that I always love about the Golden State Warriors is, well, first of all, Curry didn't have a very big ego, because think about that. He just wanted to win so many rings. He just goes out there and says, you know what, you're the best player on the team. I mean, I don't honestly think that Curry believes that, because, it's kind of like he had that reputation of not being a cocky player. In my view, Steph Curry's the cockiest player in the NBA, just doing the crazy stuff that he does and his little dances and all that. And I always think about how Draymond Green just is the number one Steph Curry fan, even on the court. Isn't that true, Jake? I mean, it's just like I've never seen a real star teammate just be a fan of a dude on the court. Sometimes I just feel like he's got courtside seats.
Yeah, I mean, Draymond's been like the ultimate Steph hype man for forever. And honestly, on my show the other day, I played the cut of Draymond saying that teams are terrified, was the quote he used about Curry. But you know what, the way he's playing right now, yeah, it's true. I mean, if Curry had a little better supporting cast around him right now, he could win the MVP, because he's having, that type of season. So the thing with Curry that I think he may never get enough credit for, the guy changed the way the game is played. Right. Very few athletes have done that. I mean, his shooting, the long range that he shoots it at, has forced other guys to model that style and get better from the outside. He has single-handedly altered the way the NBA is played and the way the NBA will be played going forward.
That's exactly right. I mean, you think about like Larry Bird, and look at how many threes Larry Bird took in his career, right? You think about Ray Allen, like a lot of these guys back then would have taken a lot more threes if people just figured out the basic math of it. It's a very ScoreTrade-esque thing, which is threes are worth more than twos, and you got a 40% shooter, 45% shooter. It's like you're supposed to just take threes all the time. Reggie Miller would have shot a lot more. Probably Jordan would not have pulled up from that mid-range jumper. Nobody would have even shot that. They would have just said, you know what, I'm just going to improve my shot a little bit and just take it to the perimeter. And so I think that's a very, very big thing. And it's, I'm a little bit older than you guys. And Jake, Jared, you have children too. But even in like 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, it's taken over. They don't just always slash. They just even 13-year-olds pull up and shoot. You've seen this, right, Coach? Oh, yeah.
I was coaching my kids' teams. Nobody wants to do anything other than jack up 3-pointers, and that's all it is. I'm like, hey guys, we're literally 1 for 75 in this game. Can we at least try to drive and draw a foul here? Because we're getting crushed. They're like, okay. And then next thing you know, pass, corner three. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever y'all want to do.
They can make them though, but Jake, to your point, that's exactly right. I think that's a really big overlooked point that you made. I think he has changed the game. There are not very many people that have ever done that. Now it's like you cannot imagine a team that wins without shooting threes. Everybody has to shoot threes. And another thing that it's done, in my view, it's kind of taken away the big man altogether. The last really great big man in the league that also won, I think, was Shaq. So it's almost been 2 decades now since you've had a very dominant big man that's the best player on his team. Like, you just don't even have that anymore. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say it's just changed, right? I mean, you have 7-footers that, shoot threes now. It's just like the style is different. I mean, even Joel Embiid, he's probably like the last great big the NBA has now, where his game is, based in the paint. He shoots threes from time to time. We've seen him do that. So it's a different game now. I mean, the analytics plays a big role in it. 3 greater than 2. I mean, it's common math, but it's true. I mean, especially with the way these guys have improved their shooting range, it just makes more sense that if you shoot more threes in a team on a given night, chances are you're the team that won the game. That's just kind of how the NBA has gone over the last couple of years, especially.
Right.
Hey, circle back to the Celtics game. Can you believe the Celtics scored 39 points in the first quarter, and Jason Tatum has only scored 2 points out of that 39?
That's tough for those who had the over on Tatum points scored. When you get 39 and the best scorer on the team who had 60 the other night only has 2. It only took 4 shots too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's me. I'm heavily invested in Jason Tatum, and I am hating life right now.
Well, Jake, today the format is a little bit different. We gave it a little bit of a different format because there was only one nationally televised game. So today we have basically an all-day NBA fantasy. So you got about 20 of the best stars in the NBA. You got Jason Tatum, you got CJ McCollum on there, you got Damian Lillard, you got Russell Westbrook, you got Bradley Beal, you got all the great players that are all going to play throughout the day, the basically leading scorers. And you can trade them throughout the night tonight to try to earn it. So once we're off the air here in about 10 to 15 minutes, you can continue to trade these things to try to accumulate your and build up your bankroll and take first prize with those 10,000 tokens. So a little bit of a different format. We just wanted to test it out before entering the playoffs, because in the playoffs, you're not going to have too many games on any given night. So this is a fun format, and you'll get to see. So even if you're not necessarily, if you've lost a little bit of money on Tatum, you can cash out of that thing. And you can also argue that, I mean, does he really have a 40% chance now of scoring 24 points over the next 3 quarters? If there was an under on that, I would take the under. I would take the 60% on the under to think that that's a better value. So that's one of the ways that you need to think about the probability of some of these games. And Jake, you and I were talking offline yesterday, but this is just like win probability in football, just win probability for a game. Instead, you can just apply win probability to every single game situation. Is this guy going to get a hit this at bat? Is this guy going to hit 3 3-pointers this quarter? Is this kicker going to get kicked 2 field goals this game? All of it is just, win probability was probably the first really big advanced analytic. And this is basically precision analytics for individual game situations. And we're the first people to really do it at scale. We have a lot of IP and patents that protect this stuff. So we're excited to see it go. And Jake, we're very excited to have you on here and give us the color that we need to make this product a hit, and certainly the show a hit, and have these guys something to do and get these guys fired up before they start ScoreTrade every night.
Absolutely. It should be a lot of fun. And Boo, I'm shocked you're even running ScoreTrade. I figured by now you'd be in the GM or the president of baseball operations for a team. I mean, you got the analytic background, you got the sports knowledge. I'm shocked you're not in the front office somewhere.
No, I got ScoreTrade is it. ScoreTrade is my sports baby for sure. That's it. But Tatum continues to drop. So I mean, here's the thing. I mean, this is what happened here. So he was Jason Tatum to score 26. So he was at 40%, right? So now, it's 11-12 left in quarter 2, all right, in the second quarter.
Right.
So already 2% drop. So since he didn't score in the first minute of the second quarter, it dropped from 40% down to 38%. So if a few more minutes, so again, now it's dropped from 38% down to 37% because another 15 seconds ticks off. Right. But if Tatum all of a sudden runs down the floor and hits 2, this thing could be at 43, 44%. It's all just an algo that's working out there in the background. And just, and these things that's what is going to happen overall, in all sports. So this is something that, our young people from TikTok are with us today and looking at this, but this is going to take over all sports, the 0 to 100 model in our view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I love the model. Yeah. I love being able to try to win prizes while I'm watching a sport that I was already going to watch anyway. So, and then I got to use my expertise, my knowledge, and, and also if I'm watching, like, for instance, this game, once Jason Tatum goes out, I might go ahead and sell because I know as time ticks off the clock, his value is going to go down. So there's no reason holding on to it at that point. Sell it off, then turn around and buy it as soon as he comes right back in the game.
Yeah. Tatum is dead weight right now. I just get rid of that stuff and just hold up for bear, because I want to get that Doge. I can't, but if I were playing, I'd try to get that Doge and say, listen, 35, I get rid of it. And, unless some guy didn't have it already, maybe wants to load up and feels like there's some value here. I mean, he could hit 2 buckets quickly and this would be up to 52. So you'd be able to make money really quickly. And coach, I mean, all we need to do is we just need to convince Jake and teach him how to play this game solidly, and he'll convince the world. He's got a big audience. Jake's being modest on our show, but he's got a big audience and he's definitely going places.
Yeah, I mean, Jake, you're going to be the next Mike Greenberg. So you got to take those followers and tell them to come over here and play.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'd love to be the next Mike Greenberg, and those are very lofty expectations. Now I'll just take working with you guys and having fun here every night over being greedy for right now.
Well, no, this is and I know you're going to be out for the next couple of days, and this has been kind of our warm-up week before we get ready for the NBA playoffs and our stretch run while we still test the app, get more drops in, and do the promotions. But Jared, what are you thinking about tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, like testing new formats, getting more people on? And what do you got to tell these guys on how to win? You've played this game for a long time and you've won tournaments. Obviously, we don't let you actually take anything home other than pride.
Exactly. I'm not doing too well today, though. I'm heavily invested right now in Jason Tatum. My boy's letting me down right now.
Julius Randle's got to be your play later. He's going up against Jokic, and it's one of those games where he's going to try and send a statement to the rest of the league. I want more MVP votes. I'm all over Randle.
Yeah, Randle makes sense. I can tell you right now, though, I don't have much cash to throw around here because Tatum's only scored me 2 points. Here was my goal today. I was going to take Jason Tatum, have him run up to maybe 75-ish. I hope it is price to get up to 75 and sell it, and then turn around and invest in more of another player that was going to be playing a little later today. But Jason Tatum, he's taking the day off today. I've been watching him play. He has not been playing well. Brick City. So if I could short Jason Tatum stock right now, I probably would.
You mean take the under? Yeah. And by the way, a couple shout outs. Thank you, D Chase, for joining us. And at 10th place right now, Toho. I don't want to, I hope he misspelled Tahoe, but if it's Toho 80, who knows what that means. Toho 80.
That's awesome.
Graham K, TJ Farrell, fantastic. Thank you guys for being on. And IB Rise 200. I think I spelled that right. It's IB Rise. Okay. That's cool. But making big trades. I think everybody's at $500 right now because I don't think there's a whole lot of action with Tatum. I think that, people are just like getting rid of Tatum. But when this thing actually starts, it'll be exciting. So you guys, we would definitely want to hear from you guys. Jake at ScoreTrade.com. I don't know whether we even know we've set up that email address, but we will right away. And that's all going to you and forwarded to us. But we would love to hear what you guys have to say about that. Boo at ScoreTrade, BHU at ScoreTrade. Would love to hear from you guys as well and see what's up.
I feel left out. I want one too.
Oh, do you? Yeah. Well, coach at ScoreTrade. Why not? We would sprinkle them around. They're cheaper than Doge.
Yeah. Don't send me anything serious though, guys. Leave that to Boo. Just say how awesome I am, and that's all I want to see in that email.
All right. So, Jake, where do people catch you when they want to listen to your insights overall? They catch you on Sports Map Radio. Is that right?
That is correct. Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time, and Saturdays from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern time.
Oh, is that right? You do a Saturday show as well?
That is correct. Yeah, that's honestly more fun sometimes than the weekday show, just because you kind of get to react to the full week, and then you get to kind of talk about whatever the big games are going on that weekend. And it's cool to kind of be on in the afternoons. It means I could sleep in on Saturdays and get ready for the show in the afternoon.
All right. Well, this is exciting stuff, and I certainly I want our audience to follow you and enjoy your commentary and watch you on demand. And I'm the amateur just coming on just today, just because I got excited about Coach's People coming on and wanted to do that. I did have one question for both of you guys, because I always think, the most underrated player of this millennium that played, and we'll sign off after this, but in my view, that's Shaq. Shaq. 3 straight championships, the best player on his team when he did that. And in my view, a lot of this greatest of all time, everything else Shaq really, really gets overlooked. What do you guys think about that? Did you ever have a chance to watch Shaq play, Jake?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree with you because when you consider what Shaq did, the dominance, I mean, we haven't seen it since at that position, really. I mean, everyone loves to talk about Kobe and rightfully so. Shaq was the finals MVP of all 3 of those first 3 rings that the Lakers won. And when you watch the highlights, I mean, it's something. It really is. And I think maybe it gets kind of lost in the shuffle with younger people just because Shaq played for so long that maybe people that were just getting into basketball only remember him, when he's, on the Cavs or the Celtics or some of these random teams at the end. But I mean, Orlando Shaq, Lakers Shaq, and then when he helped D Wade win with the Heat, as good of a dominant big man as you'll find.
Yeah, I can't disagree. Shaq is by far, I mean, he's very well rated, but his dominance is not there. Like he is way more dominant than what he is on the overall rankings. Absolutely.
I think his goofy personality and the fact that Kobe was so charismatic and kind of just enigmatic and mysterious in a lot of ways, I think it just kind of overpowered, you know, Shaq's general lightness. But Shaq is also the last guy that ever beat Michael Jordan in the playoffs. You know, people forget that. I mean, him and Anthony Hardaway beat Jordan in the playoffs after Michael had won 3 titles, you know, that season where he came back, and Jordan was never any joke. So, you know, so, I mean, just Shaq had so much going for him. And I always think, you know, when we talk about LeBron, we talk about Kobe, we talk about, you know, Hakeem, all these other guys, and we never talk about Shaq. And it's kind of interesting to me because if you tell me I can take Shaq in any top 10 guard in the league, and I would like my chances to win finals at his peak.
Would Shaq
win with anybody?
Yeah, I agree, Boo. Would Shaq shoot a lot more threes in today's game? Would he?
He couldn't shoot for his life,
No.
but he was just a monster inside, though. He rebounded. He was utterly monstrous. You could 65% field goal percentage. He could just take 2 dudes and just sling them out there. He just moved so well. It was just unbelievable. It was a lot of fun to watch too. It was just, you know, in those 3 titles, but great stuff. Jake, Jared, you want to close it out? And
yeah, well, I'm just going to say Hakeem Olajuwon is the best center of all time, so I'll close with that. And
yeah. You got a Houston Oilers helmet behind you.
But overall, you know, Shaq is a very good player, obviously, and even a really good commentator too. Well, you know, I guess I don't know if it's commentator, but you know, just fun personality.
Good presence, yeah, for sure.
So, but yeah, guys, for sure. Thank you so much for hanging out here with us. Don't forget, there's tons of play left. This is going to go all the way through the last game of the NBA today. And of course, Jake and I will be back all the way through the playoffs. So, and you know, from now to the playoffs, we're going to be doing this every single day. We're looking forward to it. We want everybody to have a great time and make I don't know about tons of money, but tons of like, hey, win those prizes, right? And definitely give us the feedback. We would love to interact with each and every single one of you guys if possible. I'm looking forward to the future, and you know, just want to say